Post-establishment contributions. On October 1, 1949, the People's Republic of China was founded, and Zhou Enlai became the first premier and foreign minister of the newly established government. In the early years of the new republic, he was mainly responsible for domestic governance and foreign affairs, making significant contributions to the country's development and the enhancement of its international status. Domestically, Zhou Enlai led China's political, economic, and social construction. He oversaw the formulation and implementation of several economic development plans, including the first five-year plan, laying a solid foundation for China's industrialization. Under his leadership, China established a socialist system, implemented land reform, and established the dominant role of the state-owned economy. He also promoted the development of education, science, technology, and culture, actively carrying out social construction and improving the people's living standards. On the international diplomatic stage, Zhou Enlai, with his exceptional diplomatic skills and unique personal charm, promoted the elevation of China's international status. He advocated for the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence and established friendly relations with countries worldwide. In 1954, Zhou Enlai represented China at the Geneva Conference, negotiating with the international community on the Korean armistice issue and successfully facilitating the signing of the Geneva Agreements. At the 1955 Bandung Conference, he proposed the principle of seeking common ground while reserving differences, gaining widespread support from Asian and African countries and further enhancing China's influence in the international community. Additionally, Zhou Enlai was involved in handling a series of international affairs, including improving Sino-American relations and adjusting Sino-Soviet relations. His diplomatic policies centered on peace and friendship, significantly contributing to China's peaceful development and stability in the international community. Strategies and impacts during the Great Leap Forward, later adjustments, and the Cultural Revolution. In the tumultuous periods of Chinese history, Zhou Enlai, with his unique political stance and strategies, tried to maintain national stability and protect the interests of the people in extreme political environments. Despite having reservations about some of Mao Zedong's practices, Zhou Enlai endeavored to maintain balance in political struggles and played a crucial role in complex situations. Strategies and impacts during the Great Leap Forward. During the Great Leap Forward, Mao Zedong pushed a series of radical economic policies, aiming for rapid industrialization and agricultural collectivization. However, these policies, being overly aggressive and lacking practical basis, led to severe economic difficulties and famine. Although Zhou Enlai was among the top government officials and participated in implementing these policies, he remained cautious about these radical approaches. During the economic hardships, Zhou Enlai took pragmatic measures to rectify mistakes and stabilize the situation. He promoted adjustments in food distribution to alleviate famine caused by policy failures. After the nationwide famine caused by Mao's Great Leap Forward and the People's Commune movement, which resulted in the unnatural deaths of millions, Mao stepped back, splitting the central government into first and second lines, with Liu Shaoqi taking the front line to clean up the mess. However, this backfired, leading to a one-country, two-system scenario where Liu's adjustment measures were well received both inside and outside the party, gaining widespread support and increasing his prestige. In this situation, Mao realized that normal party struggles could no longer resolve Liu's issue, and only extreme measures could eliminate this threat. The Cultural Revolution was Mao's decisive move to regain power. The February incident in Beijing. In February 1966, Mao Zedong, along with Lin Biao, ordered the Beijing military region troops to undergo spring training, conducting exercises across Shaanxi and Inner Mongolia. They redeployed field units stationed in Hebei province and organized leading officers to inspect defense situations along the Sino-Mongolian and Sino-Soviet borders, setting the stage for a strategic trap. In late February and early March 1966, the mechanized elite 38th Army quietly moved into Hebei, completing the military encirclement of Beijing. Following this, Mao and Lin ordered the reorganization of the Beijing garrison district's leadership and subsequently imposed military control over key institutions like the People's Daily, China National Radio, Xinhua News Agency, and others. This February incident paved the way for Mao to fully control the military, leading to the Cultural Revolution. The Cultural Revolution, or Cultural Revolution, was a political movement in Chinese history from 1966 to 1976, initiated by Mao Zedong. Its goal was to eliminate counter-revolutionary elements within the party and society, consolidating the socialist system and party leadership. However, the movement devolved into a severe social upheaval, causing profound impacts on the nation and its people. Initial phase 1966 to 1969. Red Guard movement. In August 1966, Mao supported students forming Red Guards, who criticized so-called capitalist roaders. The Red Guards launched a For Olds campaign, old ideas, old culture, old customs, old habits, involving widespread destruction of cultural relics and persecution. Central Cultural Revolution Group. Mao established the Central Cultural Revolution Group to directly control the movement's progress. Party leaders like Liu Shaoqi were criticized and eventually purged. Middle phase 1969 to 1972. Ninth Congress. In 1969, the Ninth Party Congress declared the great victory of the Cultural Revolution, with Lin Biao becoming Mao's successor. The subsequent cleansing of class ranks led to widespread persecution. Lin Biao Incident. In 1971, the Lin Biao Incident occurred, where Lin and his family died fleeing to the Soviet Union after a failed coup. This incident further deepened Mao's distrust of the party leadership. Later phase 1997 to 1976. Criticize Lin, criticize Confucius. After the Lin Biao incident, the Cultural Revolution targeted so-called Confucius and his followers. Rise of the Gang of Four. As Mao's health declined, the Gang of Four gained more power, continuing the extreme leftist policies. End of the Cultural Revolution. In September 1976, Mao Zedong passed away. In October, the Gang of Four was arrested, officially ending the Cultural Revolution. Destruction. Social structure. The Cultural Revolution attacked numerous party, government, and military officials, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens. The traditional social order was disrupted, and the rule of law and ethics were severely damaged. Culture and education. The movement destroyed cultural heritage, halted schools, persecuted teachers and students, and severely damaged the educational system. The persecution of intellectuals led to stagnation in academic and technological fields. Economy. The economy suffered greatly as resources were diverted to political struggles, plunging the national economy into hardship. Harm. Political extremism. The Cultural Revolution led to widespread political extremism, with mass persecution becoming the norm, creating a climate of terror and distrust. Human rights violations. Many innocent people were persecuted, wronged, and even lost their lives. Estimates suggest millions of deaths during the Cultural Revolution. Distorted social mindset. The violence and extremism of the Cultural Revolution deeply affected the Chinese people's psychology, eroding social trust and leading to widespread skepticism of political and social institutions. The Cultural Revolution left a deep scar in Chinese history, with long-lasting negative impacts on the country's politics, economy, culture, and society. During the Cultural Revolution, a period of extreme turmoil, Zhou Enlai faced immense political pressure. Despite not agreeing with the radical actions of the Cultural Revolution, he chose to compromise and submit under Mao Zedong's strong political influence. Zhou Enlai endeavored to align with Mao and the Cultural Revolution factions while trying to protect colleagues and subordinates, mitigating the damage caused by the movement. Since the full-scale launch of the Cultural Revolution, Zhou Enlai consciously or unconsciously played dual roles, implementing Mao's intention to create great disorder and maintaining the country's daily operations. These were contradictory and challenging goals to reconcile. Nevertheless, Zhou did his utmost to find a balance, striving to unify them. When playing the former role, Zhou appeared passive and hesitant, almost as if acting. In the latter role, he was more proactive, displaying his true nature. In other words, Zhou was more concerned with the national economy and people's livelihood amid chaos. This became more apparent as the Cultural Revolution progressed, and the contradiction between these two roles intensified. On one hand, Zhou worked to maintain the country's basic operations and sought stability amid turmoil. On the other hand, his relatives and close associates could not escape persecution. Zhou personally approved the arrest of his adopted daughter Sun Weishi and his brother Zhou Enlai, with Sun Weishi subsequently being persecuted to death. Zhou's inner conflict and pain in such situations were indescribable.